This is Karen with newclevelandradio.net, and it's time for What in the World with Paul Seaburn and his sidekick, John DiNallo. But before we start today's show, we first want to welcome you to 2025. And in my recollection, that means this show has been on the air almost 7 years. Can you
Wow.
believe we met almost 7 years ago, Paul, after you saw our contact at the local Chinese restaurant? What what do you know? But as we started 2025, a lot of us are struggling. Mother Nature has not been very nice to many of us. And to all of our California neighbors, we want to offer you just a little bit of humor today. Maybe our laughter can put out some of the flames. But in the meantime, I'm back in the saddle, even with a broken shoulder that's healing. And I have my two sidekicks with me that are going to make me laugh today. So, what do you have in store, Paul Seaburn?
Holy smoke, what an introduction. Hey, everybody, welcome to 2025. Welcome to What in the World, the 2025 edition of What in the World. I am Paul Seaburn, your host. Uh, we're here. We've been gone for 3 weeks. Karen hinted that she has a broken shoulder and some other broken bones, but she is on the mend. She's taking some secret treatments that I don't know where she's getting them from, from South America somewhere. We're not even going to ask. But yes, this is the perfect time to laugh. I also wanted to mention I have a number of friends in California and in LA. Fortunately, as far as I can tell, none of them were affected by. None of them had to evacuate. Obviously everybody's affected by the fires in that area, and our hearts go out to them, our prayers as well. So we just remember them. Many of my friends in the comedy business are doing just what we're doing. They're saying, "Hey, people need to laugh." So that's what we're going to do, just like we do every week. Our motto is real news, sometimes strange, always funny. So I'm hoping we're always funny, and we continue that um, this year. And I want to thank real quickly everybody who sent messages to all of us over the holidays. We really appreciate it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for thinking about us over the holidays. And let's get to it. So that first voice in your ear was Karen Hale back in her seat with our producing our podcast and also our co-host and media mogul at newclevelandradio.net, which is our platform. Go there. Up on the top bar, you can see where the podcasts are. You find my name. You get all the information on how to download us. And then while you're there, check out the other great podcasts Karen has and check out her coaching services at Yes I Can Coaching, which is also our sponsor. So by all means, check all that out. New Cleveland Radio, that's all one word, .net. And that's all I have to say about that. You know, as Karen said, it's we've been gone for 3 weeks, so I'm trying to get back into the groove here. The other voice you'll be hearing in your other ear is none other than my old buddy John DiNallo. We spent some time together over the holidays. Went to see some Christmas music. He's our co-host, our color commentator, and sports guy, all around good guy. Hey, John, welcome back.
Hey, Paul, thanks. And thanks to everyone again that has replied and responded to us in our absence. And again, best wishes to Karen, of course, for a quick recovery. And I'm certain that 2025 will be an outstanding year for our podcast.
Oh, all right. The voice of reason there.
Yes.
It's like God speaking, you know.
I won't take that much credit, folks, but it's good. It's good to hear it anyway.
We have one team to cheer for right now, and that's the Cleveland Cavaliers. John does have his Cavaliers outfit on. He is in full uniform, cap and shirt. He's probably got his Cavs underwear on, but none of us want to see.
Yeah, and,
So
and I'm not really comfortable in sharing anything along that line, folks. So just understand that. But yeah, the Cavaliers are playing at 800 plus percentage of their of their game. So they're just winning games and they're just playing outstanding basketball, and they are the standard right now for the NBA. So let's take heart to that, and let's make sure that we keep cheering them on.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely. Definitely. Okay. All right. Well, let's get right to it. We haven't been here for a while. What are we going to talk about here this week on What in the World? So we've been gone for 3 weeks. We had a show ready to go when Karen had her accident. So there were some stories in there that I really liked. So I brought a couple of those into 2025, and we'll talk about them. One of them is how to set a world record with your holiday leftovers. So if you still got some stuff left over from whatever holidays you celebrated, we are going to show you how to set a world record with them. Let's see, what else do we have? Bigfoot wrestling. This is another one from last year. Bigfoot wrestling, of all things, in Washington State. What part of Queen Victoria's wardrobe only Prince Albert saw until now? Aha. Oh, there's a teaser there for you. Guess what we might be.
Yeah, I would say so, Paul.
A world record shoe and the true identity of the old woman who lived in one, that famous old woman who lived in a shoe. We're going to learn all about her as well as the world record shoe. Why you shouldn't mess with nuns, John and I know that. Why you shouldn't mess with nuns or jawbreakers. Two stories with a common theme there. Plus, we got some more odd news. We've got some more world records. I've got a couple more sports. John's got some good sports for us to get to start the new year off right. So let's get right. Oh, and then of course at the end we play everybody's favorite weird news game, Bluff the Co-host. First Bluff the Co-host of 2025. So let's get right to it. Let me bring up our for those of you watching us on YouTube. Obviously, we have some photos. For those of you who are listening, I just told you, obviously, we have some photos. It's always worth it to check us out on YouTube and see the photos that go along. I will describe as best I can the photos that go with the stories we'll be talking about. I want to mention that somewhere I have a mouse. There it is, and it's there we go. Okay, so it's 2025. If you didn't get my new book, What Would You Say to a Naked Space Alien for Christmas? Here's what you need to do. Find something that you got that you don't like that came from Amazon and send it back and trade it in for my book.
Oh, my.
Yeah, there you go. I bring this up for a second reason, too, and that is that I was watching, John, you can jump in at any time here. I was watching the Philadelphia Eagles playoff game this past Sunday. And during the game, one of their players, A.J. Brown, was reading a book on the bench.
That was astounding to me. I had to do a double take to see that was actually happening.
No kidding. And it was, everybody's saying, "Oh, I've never seen that happen." Believe it or not, I think one time I saw some Browns players sitting on the bench reading the playbook, but unfortunately, it was upside down. So
there's a connection to that, Paul. Oh my!
That explains a lot, John, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Absolutely.
Here's the thing. I'm not going to mention the name of the book because I can't remember it and I didn't write it down. But what I did read is that book, it was a self-help book, immediately zoomed to #1 on the New York Times bestseller list.
Wow.
So, yeah. You know what I did, Karen? I sent a copy of my book to A.J. Brown with a note saying, please read this during the next game.
Good idea.
Yeah, he's got to broaden his horizons there. He's got to broaden his horizons, Paul.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
he doesn't.
Sure.
He's a pro football player. He doesn't need self-help. What he needs is jokes about aliens. Funny stories about aliens. That's what he needs.
Very useful for him. Sure, very useful.
That's right. Okay. So people are coming up to me on the street and asking me, what can I do to get on What in the World? Everybody wants to be on What in the World, or have us talk about your story on What in the World. So I have two answers. One, of course, and John will back me up on this, is send us a photo clear photo of yourself with Bigfoot, and I guarantee you will be the lead story on the next episode of What in the World. We'll all
Yeah,
be
I have to second Paul. I have to second that for sure because if someone can provide a clear picture of Bigfoot, that just goes right to the top.
yeah, but
Absolutely.
we don't care if you're blurry, but Bigfoot has to be.
Right, exactly.
That's right.
So the
Oh,
other way to get on our show, get mentioned on our show, is to set a world record. You know, we talk about world records all the time because some of them are just so screwy. So um, I found a list of world records that people set using things that were left over from the holidays. And I was going to talk about it in our last show last year. I still have stuff left over from the holidays around my house, you know. And I'm sure everybody else does too. So here, if you want to get on one of our shows, here's something you can do with some of your leftovers. So the first one, and set a world record at the same time. First one is the the most candy canes stuck in a beard. The record.
oh,
See, John, you could do it. Well, no, I could do this. You couldn't.
you could do that part, Paul. Sure.
There you
Yeah.
go. Okay. So the most candy canes stuck in a beard, the record was set by Joel Strasser, who I believe is in Germany. Joel Strasser. Here's a picture of him. 187 candy
Oh,
canes stuck in his beard. 187. He also holds the world record for the world's stickiest chest.
yeah,
Oh my.
I
yeah.
think they're all dripping down onto his. I don't really know how. It looks like they're unwrapped, and I don't really know how they're stuck in his beard. If the beard is holding them, or if he had to lick the candy canes first and stick them in there.
Ew.
My my initial
Aw.
question, my initial question, gang, is like, how long did it take him to do this?
Oh, I don't know, John. That's a, you know, we could estimate, but you know, who knows?
I know
All I
that's
know
one
is,
of the mysteries to not to be explained, I guess. Wow.
yeah, that this one didn't have a time limit. It didn't say most
Uh-huh.
candy canes
Okay,
stuck in
right.
your beard in
Got it.
1 minute. So it was just, so I think he had to be able to stand up without any of them falling out of his.
Wow.
That,
That's the qualifier. Wow.
yeah. And what's going to happen when the dog smells this? You know, he's going to
He's gonna
have
be in a
dog.
world of hurt. Yeah, no kidding.
Oh yeah, exactly, John. Exactly. Okay. Next record. Fastest time to wrap a person in wrapping paper by a team of 8 people. Fastest time to wrap a person in wrapping paper by a team of 8 people. 41.1 seconds by this team right over here. Team of 8 people in a real nice home over there. No snow on the ground either.
Yeah, right.
There's the 8 people cheering. There's a guy wrapped in wrapping paper. He's all excited, but the door's open. And what they did was they put him out on the front porch. And within 2 minutes, porch pirates stole him. So
That was his fate.
sad ending. Yeah, sad ending for an otherwise really cool
Idea. Yeah.
world record. Yeah. Okay. Next one. Fastest time to eat 3 mince pies. Okay. Fastest time to eat 3 mince pies. The record was set by Leah Schutkever, 52.21 seconds. Now, mince pies aren't real big. They're little, you know, you can hold them in your hand,
Mhm.
which it seems like kind of a slow time, but nonetheless, she has the world record, 52.21 seconds. Mince pies, but John, you like mince pies?
No, as really, I can tell you honestly, Paul and Karen and audience, I'm not a big fan of mince pies. I am not.
No. Yeah, yeah. For those of you who don't know what a mince pie is, it's also called a mincemeat pie. That's what my dad used to call them. In North America, in Europe, in England, they're called mince. Mince meat is a mixture of fruit, spices, and suet. Suet. Um,
Fat?
I yeah,
Yeah.
I ate one once, and I still had some in my beard when I went outside, and I got attacked by a woodpecker. So
Yeah.
Well, I guess that'll send a message to you, Paul. I guess. Right?
that's right, exactly right. I'm not sure what the message is, John, but yeah, mince it's an acquired taste. Let's put it that way. Mince food.
Okay.
Oh, that sounds like a record that could be easily broken. Um,
Yeah,
um,
it seems. I agree. It seems like that.
yeah, yeah. Okay, next one. Fastest time to dress as a Christmas elf. So you have to put on an elf costume, a hat, and pointed ears. Fastest time, 24.63 seconds, set by Andre Ortloff in Germany. But a lot of these are in Germany. Here's a picture of Andre right there. There he is in his, oh, he's got the point. He's got those shoes on, elf shoes with the
Mm-hmm.
curly
Right.
toe. Yeah, belt, a vest, nice collar, and somebody baked him a cake for setting the record, I guess.
Oh boy.
Uh,
So pointy in a belt. Sitting on the shelf is optional, but he still hit it. So, and the Guinness people sent a notice along with this world record. They said to be careful with the pointed ears because you could put your eye out with them. So
That's an
kids,
oft-used phrase.
kids don't try this at home. Yeah, that's right. No, only during the Christmas holidays, though, John.
Mm,
Okay,
yeah, okay, got it.
last one. Fastest time to assemble a gingerbread house. So little, those little gingerbread houses. 1 minute, 58.26 seconds by Oscar Linaw in Australia. That's his name. 1.5, just under 2 minutes. Um, the only qualification is that once you're done, it can't fall down. So it has to obviously stay. If it does fall down, then you get the record for the fastest time to build a gingerbread slum. Uh,
Oh boy.
so yeah, so there you go. There's 6 world records there, right there, that
Yeah,
you can
really. Yeah.
you do, and you get the Guinness people like you. We'll find out about it, and we'll put you on the show. Um, Also, if you didn't pay for the candy canes, if you stole them from the local store, you'll end up on our show too, but for a
yeah.
very different reason. So we'd rather you set the record. Okay. All right. So, we like to think that we're pretty special here in the United States. Yeah, everybody knows that. But it turns out we have a lot of the same problems that the rest of the world has. And here's a good example of one. A man in San Juan, which is a town on the island of Malta, which is in the Mediterranean Sea. Okay, so put you for all of you looking who listen to What in the World with your globe nearby, so you can follow the. He was frustrated by his city's lack of response to all the chuck holes and potholes in the roads of San Juan. So, what did he do? He took matters into his own hands and he went around town painting, get ready for this, outlines of a penis around all the giant potholes. And of course, I have a picture of that. There you go. Um,
Oh, jeez.
Forced officials, they were so embarrassed that they immediately, the very next day, went out and started filling the potholes. Um, the I mean, John, I don't know. For those of you who can't see it, the outline of the penis, it's pretty realistic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks very realistic, and maybe
In
that
fact,
was what they needed to put a fire under them to get moving on filling those potholes. Wow.
Maybe we should do that in Bruxville. Maybe their roads would get better.
well, Karen, that's what I was going to say. If you did it in Brecksville or in Cleveland especially, every town, every street in Cleveland would be called Woodland with
Yes.
all the.
Oh yeah, sure. Yes, it will. Oh, that's a
And
little play on words, Paul. Good one.
you saw what I did there, John. Right?
Yes, I did. I was. Hey, not much gets by me, So.
You can tell
Oh.
John's been just waiting for the show to come back on, to
Oh,
stay
I'm
sharp.
so anxious. Exactly right. I can't wait to do the sport and our second sport. So yeah, let's get it cooking here.
John,
Oh yeah.
take a look at that picture again. That penis outline is about life size, isn't it?
I have no comment.
Oh,
I have
yeah.
no comment on that.
Believe it or not, yeah. So it worked. The city crews came out the next day. They patched up all the potholes, and then to keep with the theme, they made the potholes look like condoms, so to cover up the rest.
What in the world? Anything can happen, that's for
There
sure.
you go. Now, if anybody who's objecting to this story, guess what? There's no fact checking anymore on social media, so we don't care.
Very good, Paul. Very good.
We don't care anymore. Isn't it great? We can say whatever we want. We're gonna stick. Don't worry, we're gonna stick with our high standards, with the high standards that we've
A
always
lot of
lived
different
up
ways to
to.
go with
Oh my.
this story, Paul. A lot of different ways to go with this story, that's for sure.
Okay, all right. Time for a world record. Yeah, there's some people who got on What in the World by setting a world record. British Nigerian fashion designer Liz Sanya set a Guinness World Record by creating the world's largest sandal, measuring 10 feet high, 4.2 feet wide, and 26 feet, 8.8 inches long. So huge, huge thing.
Oh yeah,
You know,
no kidding.
yeah, massive. It's already being sold. The first one's been sold, and it's now the summer home of that little old lady who lived in a shoe. So this one's a sandal. Believe it or not, Shaquille O'Neal lent them one of his shoes that they can use as a garage to go along with this
Okay.
giant
That's,
sandal. Yeah.
it
Uh,
seems to fit, so to speak.
oh yes, it does, John. So Mr. Trivia guy here, John is our resident trivia guy. There was an old lady who lived in a shoe. Can you finish the rhyme for us?
Boy, I tell you, there wasn't a woman who lived in a shoe. No, I can't. I'm sorry.
She had so many. Yeah, 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 you're too old, John. It's been a long time since you said that nursery rhyme, I'm sure.
I would think so. Yeah. What is it? What is it?
So there was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children, she didn't know what to do. She gave them some broth without any bread and whipped them all soundly and put them to bed. We couldn't get away with that now, obviously.
No, that wouldn't work.
Although, although both of us probably went to bed that same way at least a few times in our youth, and we
I
turned
would
out
Yeah, we turned out okay. But I think you're right, Paul. I think that we did have that experience more than once.
so I looked it up. I wanted to make sure that I knew the rhyme correctly, and I thought there were other verses, but that's really the only official verse. It actually dates back to the 1600s, and
Wow.
yeah, yeah, they're not sure who the little old lady was, but they have two candidates. One, the old woman. One, they think it referred to Queen Caroline, who was married to King George II back from 1683 to 1760. And
Okay.
she had 8 children. Now, this is obviously Queen, what's her name? Queen Caroline was not Catholic. She was probably, Anglican, because eight's not enough to have a nursery rhyme about you if you're Catholic. So a much better candidate they've identified is the wife of Fyodor Vasilyev of Russia, who was he was a member of the court, the king's court. Uh, she lived to be 76, and get ready for this. Between 1725 and 1765, she had 69 children. 69. That's
How
16
can
pairs.
that be, Paul? How can that be?
I know, John. I'll I'll explain it to you.
Wow.
16 pairs of twins, 7 sets of triplets, and 4 sets of quadruplets. She said that's the record for the most children by one woman in history. And believe it or not, many of them lived beyond their infancy. So she was a healthy woman too. Um,
Wow.
yeah, in the maternity ward, they called her the human cannon. She just kept shooting them out. The
Wow.
so
Oh my.
69 kids. If she whipped all 69 kids, she would have died of tennis elbow, I think.
Well, it would have taken its toll. Wow.
Oh man, can you believe that? So back to the sandal. So the world record sandal. It took Liz 72 hours to make the sandal. Now, a lot of people ask me on Facebook, why didn't she make two of them? I know the answer. John, you should know the answer. She was making it for Bigfoot. And Bigfoot,
Oh, that's apropos. Very
yeah,
apropos.
we never see more than one footprint of Bigfoot. That's because he's got a shoe on the other foot. So there
Well,
you
that lends credence to that theory for sure.
And it's a good theory too. Okay, so this is a good segue, by the way, into our next story. So, while he's never been on our show, John and I both have a friend named Brian down in West Virginia, and Brian has made a lot of contributions to our show. He sends us stories. He sends us little props to go along with some of the stories. He's corrected us a number of times. So, but he's a good guy. So we put up with him. So, um, we're always looking for ways the paranormal is becoming normal. And Brian was an outstanding wrestler in high school and in college. He was also an outstanding wrestling coach in Cleveland at multiple schools. He's in my high school Hall of Fame, where he also went to school. So he gave us an example over the holidays of how his favorite sport, wrestling, is linked to Bigfoot. So why don't you explain how that all works out for us, John?
Sure, I will do. So it turns out that we should give a big thanks to Brian for introducing us to the USA Wrestling Folk Style Tour of America, which actually began last weekend, with the first event being the Northwest Bigfoot Battle. The one-day event was held at the Podium in Spokane, Washington, which actually is the home of Bigfoot. Now, the main difference between folk style and freestyle wrestling is that folk style emphasizes control and holding an opponent down for a longer period, while freestyle prioritizes quick execution of takedowns and maneuvers, often with more emphasis on leg attacks and fast transitions. Folk style is primarily used in American high school and collegiate wrestling, while freestyle is the style used in the Olympics.
Wow, that makes a lot of sense. John, I wonder which style Bigfoot uses.
Well, I'll tell you what, Paul, that question belongs to Brian. And the reason I say that is the folk style tournaments were held in the 8 and under, the 10, 12, and middle school age categories for both boys and girls. And awards were presented to the top 6 wrestlers in each bracket, and athletes earned points for the U.S. future Olympian rankings. So there is a lot of importance attached to this, again,
Well,
for
good.
individuals that have Olympic aspirations.
Yeah. Plus, the best part, top winners get this beautiful Bigfoot statue, Bigfoot trophy. Yeah, the wonderful Bigfoot trophy. Heisman Trophy winners, eat your heart out. This is much better than the Heisman Trophy.
Oh, amen to that. Amen to that. And thanks again to Brian, again, for his tip on the Northwest Bigfoot battle. Also, your check is in the mail.
Yeah.
Well, he's got to be compensated for his efforts. I mean, come
Oh, you
on.
better believe it. That's right. Look for the one with the little round picture of Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah.
That's the just reward there for you,
There
Brian.
you go. Thank you again, Brian, and thanks, John, for that story. Great story, Bigfoot, the Bigfoot wrestling tournament. Okay, here's something you don't see every day, and unless you're Prince Albert, you probably don't want to see it every day or at all. Uh, a pair of Queen Victoria's bloomers, a chemise, and a pair of her dainty slippers that were given to one of her maids and kept in the maid's family for generations are going up for auction and expect to sell for millions of dollars. Here's a picture of the chemise right
Oh
here.
my God.
Okay. Wow.
Rumor has it that the last person imprisoned in the Tower of London was there because he referred to the Queen's bloomers as her big queen panties.
Oh my gosh.
But I have a picture of those too. There you go.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
John, if I remember correctly, I think we saw Queen Victoria's bloomers open for the chiffons. Do you remember?
I'll tell you what, it's a little hazy for a number of reasons, but I think you're right, Paul.
So these bloomers are 40 inches wide. 40 inches wide. The chemise, the night dress, I had to look up how do you pronounce chemise. I didn't even know how to pronounce it. It measured 58.2 inches across. Her kids used to use them when they went camping out behind Buckingham Palace. That's how big.
A dual purpose, I see.
Yeah.
Right.
The palace washerwoman got in trouble when she hung them to dry on the London Bridge.
Oh my.
Now, so Karen, I'm going to ask John this question first. Maybe you know the answer, but John, do you know why they're called bloomers?
Well, I tell you what, that's a reach for me, Paul. No, I really don't.
Oh, Karen, do you?
Have no idea.
No, I didn't either. Bloomers are named after Amelia Bloomer, an early women's rights activist and clothing reformer. I didn't know there was such a thing, who advocated for the style in the 1850s because they were less restrictive than whalebone corsets, which is what.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So she was big on these bloomers. According to marine biologists, even whales like whale bloomers. So forget those whale bloomers. So it was a three-piece outfit. The chemise. It was a short jacket, a knee-length dress, loose trouser-length pants gathered at the ankle, and then you had to put a dress over it. That's the whole outfit that the queen wore. Yeah. To use our favorite baseball analogy, in those days, getting to first base with a girl took a couple of innings. So,
touche.
all right. So again, this is our first show of the New Year's. Everybody has probably broken their New Year's resolutions by now. It's the 14th. But if you still are working on your New Year's resolutions and one of them was to exercise every day, we've got an inspirational story for you. A Belgian ultra runner by the name of Hilde Dasson celebrated New Year's Eve by becoming the first woman ever to run one marathon every single day for a year. 360 days, leap year.
That's astounding.
26.2 miles every single day for a total of 9,596 miles. She actually did a couple, like a half a mile extra every day, just in case the measurements were off. She set the record. This is unbelievable too, while working full time as a bioengineer, which came in handy when she was out on a run and couldn't find the porta potty. So she was
help in any way, right?
How long does it take to run the marathon?
She was running. She said she averaged 10K per hour, so that's 6.2 miles an hour. So she was running around, 4 hour, 3 hour, 4 hour, 3.5, 4 hour marathon. Really good time for somebody. I think she's in her 50s. So,
and then working full time.
Yeah, so really, and every single day. Now, she ran some races, like this one here was an actual marathon that she ran. She also did many of her marathons distances on a flat loop near her home around a pond. So, she used a GPS to measure it, and she's got all the records that she sent to the Guinness people. People who live there said that the pond is now filled with goldfish that are really dizzy from watching her.
Oh my! Wow.
Go around and round every single day like she was.
Yeah.
The only time her daughter says the only time that her daughter was afraid she might not make it was the day she crashed. She was in a real race, and before the 17-mile mark, her mom fell and dislocated a finger.
Oh.
And they had to take her to the hospital, and she was at the hospital for so long. By the time she came back, the race was already over, and she couldn't, finish the race.
Oh.
So The solution, she went back to the beginning and ran the whole race
Oh
again.
my God.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's a lot of fortitude there.
no
Boy.
kidding. A marathon plus 17 miles. When she got to where the finish line was, there were still some judges there, and she gave them all the dislocated finger. So,
Oh,
and I don't
very
blame
good,
her
Paul.
one
Very
bit.
good.
Way to go. A marathon a
Justified in
day. So
doing
there's
that.
something to aspire to for you runners out there. Here's another one of those signs that people have too much money. This comes from Poland, from Japan. The Filico Jewelry Water Company in Japan is selling 1 liter of water from the Nanobiki Spring in a national park there in a designer bottle covered with Swarovski crystals and gold. One bottle of this bottled water sells for $10,000 each.
Oh my gosh.
The only water that commands a higher price is a bottle of Taylor Swift's bath water, which
Oh, oh.
I think
That's a
that's
tough visual. That's a tough visual to think through, but I get
well,
it.
now wait a minute,
Okay.
John. I heard a rumor that you have a bottle of Taylor Swift's bath water in your
No,
closet.
that rumor is just a rumor, and it is not true. And my wife can attest to that also.
Okay, all right, okay. So I'd hate to be at a bar in Japan and nonchalantly order a bottle of water and then I get my bill and there's a $10,000 charge for a bottle of water on the bill. Which every time I looked at this story, I heard a voice in the back of my head. And John, you can relate to this. It was the voice of my father. And the first thing he's saying is, "You paid real money for a bottle of water?"
Oh, I'll tell you what. I hear that in my head, Paul, every day because my dad would
Yeah.
have no understanding of that whatsoever.
Oh, no kidding. And then he would say, "And you paid how much for that bottle of water?"
Well, he's
And
he's
then
going to tell you that you just paid way too much for something
yeah,
like that.
exactly. He says, back in my day, we would have got up, walked outside, drank out of the hose, and came back in.
Oh, sure, exactly. We did that a lot. No kidding.
That's it.
Wow.
All right. So going back to those old days, um,
Sure.
the listeners of our show know that John and I both went to Catholic grade schools and we were taught by Catholic nuns, um, and they were tough. Now, do you want to know how tough they were? Here's an example of some really tough nuns. This comes from Nepal. The Druk Amibata convent in Nepal teaches their nuns kung fu. So these yeah, Buddhist nuns who know kung fu as a way to improve their health and their spiritual well-being. Uh, now, this story just amazed me. So I still have a couple of friends who are nuns, and I called one of them up at Ursuline College, right in Cleveland, Ohio, and um, and I told her the story, and she said to me, she says, "Hey, hand me my yardstick and watch this." So nothing gets by those nuns. She would have whipped at least one of these kung fu nuns. Uh,
Oh,
so
I
I
would think she would too. Yeah, sure.
yeah. Now I was thinking I remembered a song. There was actually a song about these kung fu nuns. I don't know if you remember it, John. Um,
I
but
remember the song Kung Fu Fighting, but
well,
I
this
don't
is
remember Kung
very
Fu
similar.
Fighting
Yeah,
as it
it
relates
was.
to
Yeah, well, you
nuns.
might recognize this song then because it was about some nuns that were in the chapel and all the candles blew out. The wind blew in, all the candles blew out. So everybody was kung fu lighting. Those nuns,
Oh, get the horn
Oh,
out for that one.
those,
That
well,
that
I'm not
deserves
done
a
yet.
horn.
Those,
Oh, come
those
on.
nuns were fast as lightning. The monks said it was exciting watching those nuns igniting.
Well,
There we
and
go. Oh,
apologies to little Carl Douglas who did Kung Fu
oh,
Fighting.
I didn't even have to ask. Boy, John is jumping on him here. I was going to ask you who did
Well,
that
it's
song.
it's a new year, Paul and Karen. It's January.
yep.
I've got all my energy going here, so
Carl
I'm all
Douglas,
fired up. Yeah, little
1974.
Carl Douglas.
Num
Yeah.
oh, number one song in the United States and on many other charts around the world. John, I I bet you don't know the album that this song was on.
Boy, I can't tell you the album title. I wouldn't know it.
Get ready for this title. The title of the album was Kung Fu Fighting and Other Great Love Songs.
Oh my God.
Something doesn't add up on that for some reason.
Kung
Oh,
Fu
there he
Fighting and Other
is.
Great Love Songs. Carl Douglas, yeah, who is not an Asian by any stretch of the imagination there.
Right. Wow.
Number one, sold 11 million copies worldwide, making it one of the best-selling singles of all time. Unbelievable song. I remember when it came out, and it was one of those earworms that you couldn't get out of your head.
Oh, for
So,
sure. Oh, yeah.
yeah, I'm sure all of our friends listening will have it in their head now too. So let's see if this let's see if this story will break it. So this story comes from Canada. 19-year-old student by the name of Javeria Wasim broke her jaw after attempting to bite into a 3-inch jawbreaker candy. If you wonder how big that is, there's one there.
Ooh.
There's
Oh, my.
on a plate. Yeah. If you think that's bad, one of her friends bit into a dum dum sucker, and you don't want to know what happened to her.
Oh.
Oh, Lord.
Back to the real story. Well, she fractured her mandible, that's her jawbone, in 2 places. To put that in terms we can all understand, her dentist stopped on the way to the office and bought a Ferrari. So
You can afford it that way. Yeah, sure.
terrible accident.
Wow.
So they're called jawbreakers in Canada and the United States. They're called gobstoppers in the UK. And we've talked about, people being gobsmacked before.
Right.
Gob, yeah,
Hmm.
gob is a slang term in the UK for mouth. So a
Right.
gobstopper is something that just stops up your mouth, and gobsmacking is smacking your mouth in awe of something.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So largest jawbreaker ever sold is the Mega Bruiser. That's this one right here. It's in a picture of it in a package. Um, it weighs 1 pound. 1 pound. It is 3¼ inches in diameter, which is,
Whoa.
according to the box that came in, bigger and better tasting than the brain of an African red-tailed monkey.
Oh.
Oh.
Boy, not to be funny, that obviously takes a heck of a lot of effort to try to get that into someone's mouth.
In someone's
Wow.
mouth. No kidding. Yeah. And that's red-tailed monkeys, by the way, called jawbreakers hat breakers because they're big enough to bust their hat. This
Wow.
is actually bigger than a baseball. I looked up that baseballs are just under 3 inches in diameter. So
Right.
it's
Right.
actually bigger than a baseball, not quite the size of a basketball. But try putting that in your mouth. I guarantee that, or I should say, kids, don't try this at home.
No, please don't.
Definitely.
No.
Definitely. Oh.
Okay, so but speaking of basketball, that brings us to our last story before we get on to the sports section. But it is a sports story, so it's a good lead into John's segment. The morning after his team defeated the New York Knicks at Madison Square Garden, San Antonio Spurs center Victor Wembanyama. Am I pronouncing that correctly, John?
Yeah, it's hard to pronounce, Paul. You did a pretty good job on that. It's a really hard last name to pronounce.
Everybody calls him Wemby for
Right.
short.
Just it makes
Wemby.
sense.
So Wemby, the day after his team played the New York Knicks at Madison Square Garden, got up early, went to Washington Square Park near his hotel, and started playing chess with chess players there. Now, I've been to Washington Square. Many of you probably been there. It's a chess playing mecca. There's people playing chess
Yes.
there all.
Hmm.
So here's this guy, 7 feet 6 inches tall. Everybody knows who he is. They won the game. He's down there. He's looking for people to play chess with. He won a few of the games that they said. I think I have a picture of him. Oh, there's another jawbreaker. He won a few of the games. There's a picture of him. And being the
Okay.
team player, that Wemby is, he credited his rook with 10 assists. So
Oh, that's wonderful. Very
this
good,
guy,
Paul. Very good.
7 feet 6 inches tall, John. You know his
Well,
wingspan is well over, I don't know how many, 7 or 8 feet.
well, I can, excuse me, I can recall seeing his his physique on the cover of a recent Sports Illustrated issue. It's amazing what you just said, how long his arms are.
He's
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, they're so long. he can reach around the table over the shoulder of his partner, of the person he's playing, and move his own pieces. That's how long.
Right. He could do that. He could do
Yeah,
that.
he's a, this is why, he's not a, a grand master by any stretch of the imagination, but everybody says what a good chess player is.
Well,
He is, which explains why he plays so well on parquet floors. Because
ah, there you go. Right, sure. Uh-huh. Very good, Paul. Very good. Okay.
now,
Excellent.
if I'm not mistaken, John, I think Boston Gardens is the only NBA locale left that still has parquet floors.
Well,
Would that be true?
no, I think that it became the TD Ameritrade Center, and I don't believe that they still play on parquet flooring unless for
Uh,
specific games, they may put that floor down. But I think in general, I don't believe that they're still playing it as they used to in the Boston Garden for so many years. We'll have to look that up for sure.
yeah, well, you old timers remember that the parquet floors, makes it look like the floor is a checkerboard or a chessboard, and that would have been perfect
Right, right.
for play on.
Yeah,
Uh, but I thought, what a great story, great guy. Everybody loves him on that team. So
sure, sure.
I wish them well, except I want the Cavaliers to win. So, uh,
Of course.
anyways, I think that brings us to the end of my segment, which means it's time for What in the World of Sports with John DiNallo. First, what in the world of sports of 2025? Um, so, regular listeners of the show know that John and I go way back. I mentioned that we both went to Catholic grade school. We met in college. We're fraternity brothers. We've been friends ever since. John knows more about sports than anybody I know. He's a great trivia guy, good all around guy. So, he's the perfect guy to host What in the World of Sports. And every week I ask John, find us a sport, a weird sport that fits with the theme. Real sports, sometimes strange, always funny. And regular listeners know, as Karen mentioned, now John hasn't been with the show for 7 years, but a good 4 or 5 years, he manages to come up with a sport for us. So, John, what's our sport for this week?
Well, thanks for the big intro, Paul. Appreciate that. And I'll tell you, uh, Paul, Karen, and audience, our sport this week is unusual to say the very least. The name of the sport is called Ascolaritza. And what that word means, it means wood chopper in the Basque, Basque language. And
Huh.
it is also known in the Basque language as the axe game. Let me explain. Wood chopping as a profession has a long tradition in the Basque area in Europe, and that's the border of Spain and France, dating back to medieval times when it was important to the local shipbuilding and charcoal burning industry in terms of how important wood was. So they decided for sport to establish competitions, and these competitions are usually held at outdoor festivals and involve at least two individuals or teams competing against each other. In the competition, the sections of tree trunks are usually beech trunks without visible knots, and they're taken from the forest of Navarre. Only from that specific forest are these trunks taken from. And the trunk sections closest to the roots or branches are used as they are less valued to the wood industry. So again, it's a real common thing in the way of, again, not getting trunks or getting wood that could be used for other applications. Now,
Leftover. Yeah.
yeah, the trunks are categorized according to their circumference using, get ready for this, Basque inches or what is called onza, which are equivalent to 1 inch. And I'm going to try to pronounce this word correctly. Onabikatoa is 36 ounces or 1 full foot in diameter.
Oh,
Now,
okay.
now they have specific axes that they use in these competitions, and the axes are between 5.25 and 6 pounds with a round blade, and the participants must use a number of them in the competition. The competitions can be between individual competitors, as I said before, or teams where two choppers, or as a colaris, that's the reference in Basque, from a team and relieve each other, once a trunk has been chopped thoroughly. It takes a lot of effort to chop through those trunks. I mean, just think of it. Now,
Okay.
the focus is more on stamina than speed compared to other wood chopping events, and they normally go, get ready for this, for more than 1 hour.
Oh, wow.
Sometimes competitors have helpers, and they're called botoleros, and they hold towels, and they then bring new axes with sharper blades for the participants. They also check the two halves of the trunk to make certain that they are fully separated, and also to dictate the rhythm of the swings is what these boleteros do, and also indicate on the trunk where the next best hit is going to be. So again, those wood
That
choppers, yeah.
Yeah, you here hit it over here with that axe, pointing to the log. I
Oh
get
yeah.
a lot of those guys are called lefty. Um,
Yeah, aptly named or aptly referred to. Now, in a famous competition, which was held way back in 1983 in Tolosa, Jose Mari Mendizabal and Mikel Midgay had a wager to chop six 110-inch trunks and 52 larger trunks in less than 5 hours. So these
wow.
two competitors were going to be the only people chopping wood. And again, the bet was to do it in less than 5 hours. Now, Mendizabal won the competition, and he won 2 million pesetas, or it's $20,000 in US dollars, taking just over 4 hours to complete the competition.
Wow.
The most important modern day competition uh, is the UNESCO Ezekora, or the Golden Axe competition, where the best Ezekolaritsa from all over Basque Country chop against each other. Now, in closing, wood chopping in the U.S. has been replaced by mechanical cutters. The exception is in Texas, where wood chopping with an axe came back after the release of the movie The Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh, oh, oh.
Uh, yeah, you have to. I have to
Oh,
close with something relevant, obviously, and something that people can recognize. So I'm closing with that, ladies and gentlemen.
that explains a lot. Wow,
Yes,
what
it
a
does.
weird and yet interesting sport there. So those logs are huge. They're massive. I
Well,
noticed one of the photos had a woman in it. So apparently they have
oh yes,
women.
there is competition between men. I mean, the men compete against each other, and women compete against each other.
Okay.
It's a traditional sport, in Basque, or in
Wow.
in Basque country, I should say. Paul, you and I also have a fraternity brother that is of Basque origin, if you recall.
I was
We'll keep his name confidential, but his first name is Bob, and he's a
Bob.
great
That's
guy.
right.
And
Yeah.
he was a person of Basque origin, and I remember pledging under him, and he was explaining to me, "Well, I'm of Basque origin," and then he
Yeah.
would explain where his ancestors are from and so forth. So it's kind of
First time
interesting.
I heard of it as well. Yeah. Yeah. I wonder if he knew about this sport. We'll have to ask him next
We'll
time we
have to
see him.
ask him next time we see him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, great sport. Great sport, John.
No,
You
thanks,
know,
thanks, Paul.
I was looking at this and thinking about it, and I thought that at first I thought I'd never heard anything like this before. And then slowly I thought, this sounds awfully familiar. It sounds like something that we did in college. We were challenged by another fraternity to some kind of chopping competition. Do you remember that?
You know, vaguely, but I don't recall anything about what axes we used, or did we even chop wood, or were we chopping something else?
Good question, John.
Listen, that goes back a few years. So
Yeah.
again, I'm kind of relying on my memory here. I don't know.
As usual, the older members of the fraternity put John and myself in charge. They never learned their lesson, and to go out and find some logs and something to cut the logs with, so we could win this competition. Well, John and we couldn't find any logs, but we could find some toothpicks. So we found a bunch of toothpicks, and, and we and the toothpicks are too small to chop with an axe, so we used butter knives. and and
Oh
you
my
know,
gosh.
it didn't work out very well, but we won, but we still had a bunch of toothpicks left over after the competition. So John and I set up a separate competition that would have fit in perfectly with this show. The most toothpicks you could stick in your facial hair. So I started first, and the let's see, is this there you
Oh
go.
my goodness.
There's me with I don't know 10,000. I
Well,
don't know
that's
how
not
many
me.
toothpicks
Hey, I
are
can
in my
tell you
face.
confidently, that's not me.
Yeah, no, that was me. That obviously my beard was much longer back in those days. And John, I think I've mentioned this before. John back in those days had a Fu Manchu.
Yes, I
So
did.
John was sticking toothpicks in his Fu Manchu, and this is kind of what that looked like. Really was not that. I don't know, John. I think some of those were actually stuck in your chin or between your teeth. That's an
Whoa.
You know,
awful lot.
it's kind now it's a painful remember. It's a painful memory for me. So yeah, I mean that was hard to do, by the way. But
No, no, it
all
wasn't.
those fraternity hijinks, you never
You
get rid of
remember, you
those.
remember the basic rule of fraternity prank. Uh, with enough beer, we'll do anything. So,
Oh yeah, exactly right. Oh my.
all right, I think that's the end of our that edition of what in the world of sport. Thank you so much, John, for that. I'm
No,
going to
yeah, you're
take
welcome.
a photo down here, and that means it's time for everybody's favorite weird news game, Bluff the Co-host 2025. First Bluff the Co-host of 2025. For those of you who are new to the game, it's real simple to play. I have three stories similar to the ones that we've been telling all afternoon. One big difference: those stories were real. These may be real, they may be a bluff, and it's up to John and Karen and all of you out there playing at home to decide real or bluff. Wagering is allowed, so place your bets. John and Karen, put your hands on the buzzer. Let's see who kicks off 2025 as the first winner of Bluff the Co-host. Story
Okay.
number: if you wish, oh, so let me try that again. If you wish you had plumper lips, women and even some men in India say they're getting great results using a tip from an internet influencer. They're puffing up their kissers a natural way by rubbing their lips with, get ready, hot green chili peppers. All you do is cut the chili in half and then rub one half on the top and the other half on the bottom lip. In just seconds, your lips swell up from the heat and turn green too, so you're saving money on cosmetic treatments and lipstick. We don't know if Hot Lips Houlihan from MASH knew about this, but it's endorsed by Hollywood actress Blake Lively, who starred in the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants and is rumored to be in a new movie, Kiss of the Spicy Woman. Okay,
uh,
so the new way people in India are puffing up their lips instead of using collagen injection, they're rubbing them with hot chili peppers. Real or bluff? Let's start with you, Karen.
I'm going to say it's a bluff because it would be only very temporary and it would be probably not a healthy thing to do. So I'm going to say bluff.
Karen says bluff. When did we ever think about whether something was healthy or not?
Well, it's true, but I think about it.
Okay. Karen says it's a bluff. John, how about you?
I'm going to go against the grain on this one. I'm going to say it's real. And I'll put it in the category that anything's possible,
Yeah.
but I could see people actually doing this to try to be able to puff up their lips. I mean, they got to go through some pain to do it, but I'm going to say that it's a real story.
Oh, full lips. Yeah, that's right. You'll put up with women will put up with a lot of pain for fuller lips. I've heard that before. Yeah. Okay. So John says that's a real story. Karen says it's a bluff. Let's check with the judges, and the judges say, "Congratulations, go to John. First right answer of the 2020."
Wow.
Wow, amazing. Wow. I had a
Yeah.
50-50 chance on getting it right, gang. So I did get
Believe
it
it or
right.
not,
So,
the
okay.
first
Okay.
part, yeah, about Blake Lively is also true. She actually does rub hot peppers on her
Wow.
lips.
Okay. Wow.
Okay, so
Okay.
scores 1-0. John's in the lead. Let's get right to story number two. Norfolk is known as the tomato capital of England, although some people say it's the tomato capital. And that long-running disagreement has caused citizens of the city to call the whole thing off and call for a vote to remove its designation as the plump red fruit or vegetable capital of the country. The argument has been going on for years and appears to be between the farming community, which says tomato, and the city folk who prefer the more proper tomato. A number of mayors have tried to resolve the disagreement, which has caused hard feelings between family members and many fights in Norfolk pubs, some of which have ended with the throwing of the tomatoes or tomatoes. If the ballot measure is passed, Norfolk will give up the title to the number 2 tomato city, Worthing, where they don't care how you say it as long as you buy them. Okay. So the city of Norfolk in England is trying to get away from being the tomato or tomato capital because of all the arguments that it causes over the pronunciation. Real or bluff? John, we'll start with you.
I'm going to say this is real also. I can see that it's been such a long running controversy for years about how do you pronounce the name of that vegetable, right? Tomato, tomato. And I think maybe the people there in Norfolk have just had enough. And they want to rid themselves of that name or that recognition and just hand it off to the other city, like you said. I'm going to say it's real.
We're not going to take it anymore. Okay, so John said
Something like that.
tomato vote in Norfolk is a real story. Karen, how about you?
I'm just going to say I agree.
Okay, wow. Karen says she agrees. That means she thinks it's real too, if I read that correctly.
Yep,
so we do real. Let's check with the judges, and the judges say, sorry, you're both wrong. That's a bluff.
Oh,
loves their tomatoes.
We got set up on that one, Karen. We got set up on that one.
They love their tomatoes. Okay, well, that means the score is still 1-0 with John in the lead. But as everybody knows, points are doubled in round number 3. Karen could vault into the lead with just one right answer, and John has one wrong one. So let's see what happens. Everybody else out there, I don't know how many points you have, but keep on playing. Story number 3. People in a small town in England love their snails, but they hate a new statue of their slimy friends made by a local artist. The problem is that the 6-foot-tall statue is brown, and the snail's curling shell makes it look exactly like the poop emoji everyone uses when sending sticky messages on their cell phones and social media. The artist claims that it's an exact replica of the common periwinkle snail from the English Channel. But even visitors take one look at the statue and think, poop emoji. They spent a lot of money on the statue, but the locals don't care. They told the artist that this escargot has got to go.
Oh.
So a town in England who commissioned a statue of their town snails and now are upset because the snails look like a poop emoji and they want it gone. Real or bluff? Karen, back to you for an answer.
It sounds so real that I'm going to say it's real.
Whoa, okay. Well, Karen is hot here. Karen, just get right to it. It's real.
Yep.
John, how about you?
Yeah, I'm going to say real too. I can see the way you described the snail statue. If it's not convincing enough, and we've all seen the poop emoji for years, right? I can see the connection to that. So I'm going to say it's real too. I'm with Karen on this one.
Yeah, you did fixate quite a bit on that poop emoji there. I noticed. So both John and Karen say that the story about the poop emoji statue is real. Let's check with the judges, and the judges say the congratulations this week go to John. That is a real
story.
All right. Okay. Good.
Right,
good.
And is the winner of the first 2025 Bluff the Co-host. Congratulations, John.
Congratulations
out there who got any or all of those answers right.
Well, and thanks to Karen, who's always a worthy opponent. But on a follow-up, on a follow-up, is there a possibility we can get a picture or a photo of this in the future, Paul?
I was thinking about that. I ran out of time. You
Ah,
can Google it. Google poop emoji snail, and it comes right up. And it really does.
Guess what I'm going to do when I get off the
Yeah.
show here?
Be
That's
careful.
I'm
That's
going right
right.
to my phone. I'm going right to the phone to check that out.
It may not be suitable for work. How's
Well,
that?
yeah, I get that, right? I get that. Wow. Okay.
All right. Well, we've reached successfully reached the end of our first podcast of 2025, the first What in the World podcast. Successfully, Karen's made it through
yeah.
health wise.
Yeah, very good, Karen. Very good.
So I want to thank Karen for being a real trooper, getting us back on the air, making it through the entire episode, setting us all up, working with only one arm. Boy, that's
Yeah.
phenomenal.
It's tough.
Thank you again, Karen, for that. Thank you for everything you do for us, for the show, for newclevelandradio.net. Please, everybody, visit the platform. After you check us out, find out how to download us, go to visit the other great podcasts Karen has, as well as her coaching services. Yes, I Can Coaching with Karen, which she is doing from while she's in an injured state and doing therapy. She will also be coaching. So what a Wonder Woman she is, that Karen Hale. So check that out. And then, as always, I want to thank my old buddy John DiNallo, host of What in the World of Sports, our color commentator, trivia guy, and all around good guy. Thanks again, John, and hopefully those Cavs will keep on winning for us.
Yeah, thanks, Paul, for the kind words. Yeah, but the Cavaliers, really, I mean, even if you're not a basketball fan, they're a fun team to watch.
Yep.
And just give
Yeah.
yourself a little bit of time and try to appreciate that. But they really are. And it's great for the city of Cleveland, of course, right? You've got a Cleveland
Oh,
sports team that's really the standard now. So, again, I think if you check them out, I don't think you'll be disappointed.
that's right.
Sounds
That's right.
good.
We need it. We need it. Okay. And as always, thank you to all of you out there, all of the listeners to our podcast. Without you, we wouldn't be doing this podcast. You're the reason why we do it. We hope you have as much fun listening as we do putting it on. Again, I've heard from many of you over the holidays, and again, we appreciate all your feedback. Thank you so much for reinforcing the idea that everybody needs to laugh. We need some funny news instead of the news that we've been hearing. And again, if any of you are out in California, again, our hearts go out to you, our prayers go out to you. We hope everything calms down and gets settled and gets people. It's going to be a long time, but gets them whole again. We will be back next week with another episode of What in the World. So
Yep.
Karen's promising. She's promising with her good arm over there. She's waving it. So
This arm.
Oh, that sounds good. All
there
right.
you go. So on that note, we'll say goodbye and we'll see everybody next week.
Have a
Take
good
care,
week, everyone.
everybody.
Take care.
Bye-bye.